Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop here at Flat 6 Motorsports. My name is Ivan, and today we're going to show you how to install our Flat 6 Motorsports intake kit on the 2-liter Macan. Let's get to it. So in 2017, Porsche released the Macan with a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, and it's been pretty much unchanged since. So today we're going to show you how to do the installation of our Flat 6 Motorsports intake system on this 2025 Macan T. But before we get started, we do have a couple things I want to go over here. Firstly, what's in the box? We have the filter assembly, and we also have our air guide, which basically removes the center section of the air guide opening, or the opening to the filter. And that's going to allow more air to enter in the filter assembly. You only need a couple tools for this. It's a very simple job. You're going to need a T30 Torx bit, either in a screwdriver or in an electric screwdriver format, and a pair of needle nose pliers does help, but not required. Okay, so like I said, Porsche's been using this engine for quite some time now, so regardless of if you have a 2017 model or 2025 model, all operations are going to be basically the same thing. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to remove the stock air guide. So what I like to do is go ahead and remove the rubber trim surrounding it. It just pops in there, and we're just going to set that aside. What this will do will give you better access to the 4 screws holding the air guide in. Now these are going to be T25 screws, so you can use a regular screwdriver or you can use an electric screwdriver like I'm going to use here. Now one thing I also want to point out, they will back out and they tend to be captured into the plastic itself, but try not to lose them because the screws cannot be replaced separately from the airbox. So just be careful when you're loosening them up. As you can see here, they'll stay captured in there, and we'll remove those a little bit later. Once all 4 are loosened, you should be able to pull it straight up and out. Like I said before, the screws will actually stay fairly captured into the guide itself. Let's get over here on the bench and I'll show you how to do this real quick. So now that we have our OE air guide out of the car, I'm going to show you how to remove the screws from the air guide so that we can transport them over to the Flat 6 air guide. But basically what you want to do is, since they're kind of loose in there, give them a little bit of, basically trying to push them out with your hand, and then you're going to kind of pull and back it out a little bit with your hands. So that way they'll stay locked into place. And then we'll go ahead and use our T25 bit and complete that process. And now they'll be removed out of here. So you can see they have the smooth portion and then the threaded portion. So they'll float around on the smooth portion, but you basically need to pull them out far enough to catch the threads, and then you can use the tool to further back them out. And then thusly, to install, go ahead and just get them started by hand into the holes on the new part, just so it stays in place, and then you can use your T25 to run it down. And that way, they'll be ready to go. So go ahead and we'll finish up on these, and then we'll show you the next step on the car. Okay, now that we have the air guide out and we've installed the screws into the Flat 6 air guide, the next step is going to be removing the filter assembly itself. So this is where you're going to need your T30 tool. And once you look down here, you'll see we have 2 pins, and what the pins are doing, they're actually holding in the intake piping into the air filter housing. So first thing we need to do is actually rotate these pins 90 degrees clockwise. You'll see they'll have little tabs on them, and once you rotate them, to loosen, we're going to counterclockwise 90 degrees, excuse me, like so. So that way the pins are facing towards the outsides, and once you know that, then they're able to be removed. Now for this, you can use either your fingers, or you can use a pair of small needle nose pliers. There we go. All right, and just like that. See, they're keyed, and so they only go in one way, and then when you turn them, it actually locks them into position. So pull those out. All right, so now that we have the pins out, we can actually move this out of the way. Once those pins are removed, we'll be able to slide the intake pipe out of the air filter housing, and that'll allow us to slide the air filter itself up and out of the assembly. Now it does have an O-ring, so it may be a little snug. It may take a little bit of effort to unseat it. And it comes out just like that. So you have like the O-ring here that kind of seals that into the air filter housing. Now once that is done, we'll be able to slide up the filter and the side panel all up as a unit. So just set that out of the way. Take a little bit of force, but it should come out as one unit. And there we have it. So we have the side panel and the air filter assembly itself. So now that we have the OE air filter out, we can kind of take a look at it and see what the improvements are that we've done here with our filter kit. Now, we use the same filter on all of our Macan kits, whether you have a 4-cylinder, a 6-cylinder, doesn't matter what size, they all use the same filter. But as you can see, we have air entry that goes all around the filter, whereas the OE unit only has filter opening on the sides here and here. So can't get any air in here, can't get any air in here. So we have constructed a filter that you can get air from all sides, and that's kind of like the biggest gain that our intake system has over the OE units. So now that we have it out, let's go ahead and get this in, get it ready to go. And just as easy as it came out, the new one goes back in. It's very simple. We just need to line up the opening on the filter, and it also has a notch on the bottom with the corresponding pieces on the side panel as well. So we'll just go ahead and mate that up. It sits right in there. And it's also lined up in the notch on the side panel. And we're gonna go ahead and slide this whole thing in as a unit, just like we took it out. Just line up your tabs on the side. And she'll slide right back in. So it is a snug fit, so it may take just a little bit of effort. Make sure this hose is backing out of the way. And just put it down. And that's pretty much it. Once you have the filter in place, what we're going to do is go ahead and maneuver the intake pipe back into place as such. And it'll pretty much go back into place on its own. And then we're going to get our locating pins and replace our locating pins. As I said earlier, they are keyed, so they can only go in one way. So we got our pins, the little tabs pointing one way or the other. Go ahead and just push it in. You may need to put a little bit of pressure on this just to make sure that everything lines up properly. Same goes to the other side. You may just need a little slight adjustments to get everything lined up. There we go. And you'll feel it just kind of drop in. There we go. Once you got your pins into place, we're now going to turn our pins clockwise to lock them in. So clockwise, 90 degrees. You might hear a little click. Do it again, clockwise, 90 degrees. And now the pins are locked into place. The intake pipe is locked into place onto the filter assembly. And then lastly, we're going to be putting our air guide back on top. All right, so now that we have our flat 6 air guide all ready to go in a previous step, so we have our screws in place, so they'll move around. And basically, it only goes in one way. So go ahead and set that down. Make sure all the lines correspond to the grooves in the air filter assembly. Like I said, you can only do it one way. It is a snug fit. Take a little bit of maneuvering. So there we go. There we go. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna snug down these bolts and make sure everything stays into place. She wants to move around just a little bit. So we'll run those down, not all the way tight. We'll just snug them down. So get this one side lined up, snug down. And then we'll go ahead and get the other side lined up. Like so. That's lined up. Snug down. There we go. All right. Once everything's lined up and looking good, we'll go ahead and finish tightening down these. They don't require a lot of force, say about 10 Newton meters, or basically hand tight if you're using a screwdriver. They really don't require a lot of force. They are plastic threads, so you don't need too much. All right, and there you have it. The air guide is installed. Lastly, we're going to install our rubber gasket. It goes back in just like before. It does have basically a bead that will sit into the channel, so you just have to work it around. Once your rubber seal is all set and ready to go, that pretty much concludes the install of the Flat 6 air filter system. If you want to get an air filter kit for yourself, check us out at flat6.com. We'll see you in the next video.